Pakistan cricket at its best. 1 minute down, next minute up.
Sajid on behalf of Pack Passion, bringing you another exclusive interview. My guest today is a renowned former cricketer, a renowned coach as well. Played 71 tests, 97 ODIs, one T20I for Australia. He was part of one of the greatest cricketing teams ever, the great Australian team that basically conquered the world and all opponents. He's part of the 2003 World Cup winning squad. He's coached all around the world in Zimbabwe, the IPL, county cricket, BBL, South Australia. And recently he was the head coach of the Pakistan team, the one and only Jason Gillespie. Jason, thanks very much for your time once again.
Thank you so much. It's great to see you, mate.
Let's start with the Champions Trophy, mate. I think you know about the passion the Pakistani cricket lovers have. You've experienced it firsthand. And how great is it to see the Champions Trophy being held in Pakistan predominantly?
Yeah, it's wonderful. I know there's some issues with obviously with India not going to be participating in Pakistan. I think a lot of people probably anticipated that could happen, but I think just having an event in Pakistan for the first time in a long time is great for Pakistan cricket, the PCB, and obviously all Pakistan's very very enthusiastic supporters. Having been I suppose starved of international cricket over the last period of time. With limited international cricket, I think this is a real shot in the arm for Pakistan cricket, and really looking forward to seeing it be a successful tournament. I know the PCB are putting a lot of time and effort into making sure this tournament is running as well and as smoothly as possible. And I'm really excited to see the wonderful grounds that they have in Pakistan hosting an international tournament like the Champions Trophy. It's very exciting.
There's a saying in cricket, Dizzy, and you will have heard it many times, never write Australia off. But when you've got no Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood, Stoinis, Mitch Marsh, that's quite a hefty chunk of experience and talent missing. Can we still count Australia in amongst the front runners?
Look, I think you make a really good point, Saj. I don't know many teams in world cricket that would compete strongly for a trophy if they're losing players of the calibre of the guys you just mentioned. Let's be honest, it's a blow for Australia. What it does give is opportunity for for other players to step up. But I think it's a very big ask for Australia. Look, I'm ever the optimist as an Australian. I want to see Australia do well and compete for a title, but it's going to be a real challenge. I know the Australians are up and excited about the challenge. They certainly still have plenty of match winners, led by Travis Head, Glenn Maxwell, these characters. So we'll see what happens, but it's certainly going to be a bit more of a challenge, obviously with the players that are missing.
What is it about the Australian cricketers' mentality where most teams, as I said, you miss those players, you write them off. But even with those players missing, Australia are going to be in with a shout. It's that strong mindset, isn't it?
I think it's a strong mindset. Australia will be very well prepared and planned. Andrew McDonald, Steve Smith, they'll strategise very well. They'll plan each and every match, each and every moment in those matches. So it won't be through a lack of planning. So I think Australia will always compete. There's no doubt about it. The mindset is never give up. No matter what situation you find yourself in, just never ever give up, and keep executing your skills, adhere to the plan, and we'll see what happens. But yep, as we've said, it's going to be a challenge for Australia, but I'm still quite optimistic that they can go deep into this tournament.
I guess conditions, as we saw in Sri Lanka, Australia didn't have the best of white ball series out there, are going to be tough as well for Australia, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what the curators do with the surfaces. in Pakistan there. Some of the teams will rely more on fast bowlers, others will rely on the slow. I've really been watching with interest how the England team have gone recently in India in white ball cricket. They've tended to focus on their seam bowling as a focal point to attack with the ball, and that probably had limited success. So it'd be interesting to see if they tweak their strategy. Regarding their bowling. But it'll be interesting to see what surfaces are provided at the stadiums in Pakistan and in the UAE.
Now, every time there's a Pakistan squad announced, there's obviously millions of selectors in Pakistan across the country, all sort of saying he should have been picked, he should have been picked, he should have been dropped. What do you make of the Pakistan squad for the Champions Trophy?
Yeah, it's an interesting squad. I think, first of all, what I will say, Saim Ayub is a huge loss for Pakistan. I think he's one of the most talented cricketers on the planet, to be honest. I haven't seen many better young players at that age have such an impact so early in their career. Particularly, in the one day space, he's done incredibly well. He's a fine talent and someone that needs to be nurtured, supported. He's obviously out injured for this tournament, so I think he's a blow. I think he could have really cracked it right open at the top of the order there for Pakistan. Regarding the squad, I don't really know what to make of it. There's some players I don't know a lot about, if I'm perfectly honest. There's, obviously the usual suspects there, it's the expectation of Pakistan is, and of the team from the PCB and the fans is going to be quite high. Obviously being, hosting the tournament. Let's just hope that the players and the coaching staff can keep things level-headed and manage the expectations and focus on the process rather than worrying about results. Because if you worry about results, you tend to lose sight of what you need to do to get those results, if that makes sense. They've got to have real process orientated as opposed to outcome orientated for Pakistan to have any success in this tournament.
Obviously, with Saim Ayub missing, that's meant Babar Azam has to open the batting. What do you think of that decision to get Babar to open in ODIs?
Yeah, I think there's potentially better options. I think Babar Azam is one of the elite players in world cricket, and my personal opinion is that he does his best work at 3 in one day cricket and particularly 50 over cricket. That for me would be the way to go. But look, obviously, the selectors have decided to go a different way. I think that there was options that they could have gone. I think Shah would have been a really good option to open the batting for Pakistan in this Champions Trophy. That's a decision that the selectors made, and that's fine. That's their call. But certainly that would have been one that I would have certainly considered for sure.
What do you make of the form of Naseem Shah and Shaheen Afridi coming into this tournament, Dizzy? Because obviously a lot rests on their shoulders, obviously with Haris Rauf there as well. You've got that trio of pacers.
Yeah.
But yeah, Naseem and Shaheen obviously under a lot of pressure, and the performances haven't been great. What do you make of their form coming into the tournament?
Look, I think good players will step up at the right time, and I think from a Pakistan perspective, I think everyone will hope that they will step up and get the job done. And they've been a little bit expensive on pretty good batting surfaces and fast outfields. They've just got to find a way to have an impact. I mean, they're there to take wickets, and that's going to be important. If Shaheen up front is swinging, that's when he's at his very most effective, in my opinion. And Naseem Shah as well. When he's bowling well and his wrist and fingers are behind the ball, gets that little bit of shape away from the right-handers, that's when he can really have an impact up front. Both have got good changes of pace. I think Shaheen Afridi is one of the best Yorker bowlers going around. So he brings a lot of skill to that team, and so I look forward to seeing them do quite well. I'm quite optimistic that they can have good tournaments. But look, a lot there is expectation on them. They're probably Pakistan more experienced seam options, so that expectation is there.
Pakistan's death bowling over the years has been brilliant, Dizzy, as you know. I think we were spoilt with Wasim and Waqar and Shoaib Akhtar and those
Of
guys.
course.
But recently, Pakistan have been leaking a lot of runs in those death overs. Have you observed anything that they're doing wrong or differently?
Look, I think a lot of teams are leaking runs, Saj. The modern game. I think is just obviously the advent of T20 over the last couple of decades. It's really batters are really exploring different ways of impacting, particularly in the last 10. It's the T20 focus is really the T20 focus has really brought into the one day game, and gone are the days where the last 10 overs of a one-day game is going at 7.5 and over. I mean, it's up around 10 plus nowadays. And certainly T20 cricket has had an effect on that. There's no doubt. So I don't think Pakistan are alone in that space regarding leaking runs at the death. I think it does simply come down to getting your fields right, having really clear plans and executing your skills. You can have as many plans as you want, but if you can't execute the skill, you can't execute the skill. So that's where the onus has got to be. That's where the focus has got to be, is understanding as well that you're probably going to go for some runs at some point in the tournament in the last 10. If you're bowling 3 to 5 overs of the last 10 overs of a one day international, if you're going at 7 and 8s, you've done a really good job. You've done an excellent job. If you're going over 10s, over 9s and 10s, you probably need to find ways to improve. But you've got to give some credit to batsmen around the world these days. It's bowling at the death is not the easiest thing to do. It takes a lot of courage, takes a strong-minded bowler, and it takes bowlers to understand that at times I can execute my skills really well, and I'm still going to go at 8s and 9s, and just have to sometimes accept that and minimise the damage. But there's two things to it: you minimise the damage, but you also how can I take wickets? Because if I can take wickets, then that's going to stem the flow of runs. So that's a real tricky challenge for bowlers around the world at the moment, not just the Pakistan bowlers.
Finally, Dizzy, it's a wide open tournament. Certainly looks that way. Who are your 4 semi-finalists, and who do you think will win the tournament?
Yeah, look, I think first of all, India, I think are in a pretty good place with their cricket. I think they'll have an impact. I actually think, depending on the surfaces, I think Sri Lanka can have a good tournament. Particularly on the subcontinent, if the surfaces favour the slower bowlers, I think they can have an impact. Look, I'm quite bullish about Australia. I think Australia can do quite well, even though they're missing a lot of the players that you mentioned. And then probably that other spot, it could be a smoky. I'm sure all the Pakistan cricket supporters out there will be wanting to see the Pakistan team in the semi-final. And I think when Pakistan are on song, they can upset any team in the world. Because there's a lot of very fine players in Pakistan. Having experienced it for a short period of time, the talent in Pakistan is as good as anywhere in the world. So if they can all be on the same page and moving in the right direction and adhering to a clear game plan and executing their skills, I think Pakistan can go deep into this tournament as well.
And your winners?
At the moment, it's really hard to go past India. They're a very fine team, but and unfortunately they've got probably a bit of an advantage potentially to playing some of their games in Dubai or in the UAE. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think at the moment, I think it's hard to go past them as favourites for the tournament. I'll always back Australia in to go deep into a tournament because they've just got that experience of performing on the big stage. They've won every big trophy that there is on offer. So even though they are missing a number of players, as you mentioned, quite rightly mentioned, the depth and the mindset of Australian cricketers and the strategy and the planning, Australia will potentially go deep in the tournament too.
Dizzy, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for your time, and look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.